gonna break my fuck first.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our Star Wars Resistance recap show. I am, this time, your host, Kees, joined once again by Chris Doman for the next episode called The Children from Tehar, the next episode in Star Wars Resistance. An episode in where Cass is, trying to make some money, and he hears about this bounty, like, okay, there are some children missing, and there's a pretty big bounty put on them by the First Order, and he's like, hopefully I can find these children, make sure that they're back where they're supposed to be, and then he makes some money off of it. But then he learns that, maybe the children don't want to be brought back to the First Order. Chris, how are you doing today, and what do you think about this episode?
Dude, this was kind of a heavy episode, especially for like the season, and like it's been progressively getting a little darker. There's just darker themes coming in, but this one surprised me, especially when you consider what one of the main themes of this episode is, and that is the First Order and what they're capable of doing. Which, yes, spoiler guys, the First Order is a huge part of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that we're already getting the idea of the damage that they're causing across the galaxy. Like,
Indeed.
These, I'll save my big reason why I'm a huge fan of this episode for a little later on. So, Case.
Yeah. It starts off with Cass being in the garage with Tam and Niku. Niku, who's actually a big part of this episode. I thought that was a really good one. Also considering, this is what we talked about in the last review. I want to see more of the side characters. We now had an episode with Tam in the previous one and Niku in this one, where we actually see them a little bit more, and where Niku is not just the comedic sidekick, the comic relief throughout the episode, with this very dry humor, but we actually see a more human side to him. We see, a couple of people, aliens that he works with. That was interesting to see. There's more to him as well, which was really nice for me to see. The First Order, we figure out that these children actually ran from the First Order, and that the children, I don't know exactly what the thing is, but it just appears that the First Order is doing a lot of things to make sure that they have no real rival, and like they know that the Resistance kind of is a thing. I'm not entirely sure how they know that, but you see at least that the First Order is just dangerous. It really is. It has a couple of people in there that you don't want to mess with. Of course, you see Phasma. We see like Phasma's in chrome armor, so silver armor essentially. And then in this episode, we have someone in gold armor. And we also had someone in red armor. They're trying out a couple of colors, which, that's something, just something I noticed. I don't really know what to think about that, to be fair. But Chris, what is more about the First Order, about this episode, what you like so much?
So it's funny you ask me that, because I feel like this is the first time especially in new canon, especially in the movies and whatnot, we're seeing the First Order as the underdog. Especially with because like obviously in Force Awakens we see them rise to power. We see in Last Jedi how they start using said power, but we haven't seen them like at this point.
We're before the movies right now. The New Republic is still the big power in the universe.
Yeah, so right, and as that, they have to do whatever it takes to establish themselves, if that including being diplomatic, which is really interesting, especially in a lot of the scenes with Captain Doza. And okay, I hate to say that I think I might be right about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this when I said he's he's gonna make deals with the First Order so that way, to keep himself alive and to keep his station alive, and eventually he'll realize the error of mistakes, and it might cost him his life. And you know what? I'm looking forward to
how that plays out.
How that
yes.
plays out. Exactly.
I'm also extremely interested what they do because I do agree that yes, he might bite the dust at that point. But I'm curious as to first of all how that'll happen, and like who will be involved with that, and like what will be involved with that. Because I think there are a couple of scenarios that can play out. Because yes, it's clear that Doza is just having these interactions with the First Order because he is kind of intimidated by them, and he sees them as an ally for now. But he'll quickly figure out they're no good and that he can't. He shouldn't continue, at least. Probably for the sake of his daughter.
Which I'm surprised we didn't see her in this episode, because I feel like if there had been well, to be fair, and the reason we didn't see her is because we were given more screen time with Tam and Niku, which thank you, because my God, again, Niku is just some of his funniest moments in this episode.
But also some of his best moments. Like,
yes.
Yeah, he continues to be funny, but yeah.
For example, the scene where the brother is getting the herbs for the sister, and Niku just pays for it, and Kaz is like, I don't know what to say. Then say nothing, Kaz. And when you have the credits, pay for the necessities. Mm-hmm. Not just for yourself, but for the others around you. Like, oh, dude, that's great. That's a great moment. Like, damn. That kind of got me a little bit.
It just shows that Nico's just a really good guy, and he can have his weird moments, of course.
Of course.
I mean, he has them plenty all the time, but. This is like the first episode, as I said, where we see just more of him as a nice, good character rather than the comic relief, which was really nice to see. Because, yeah, I've been wanting that.
Same. And actually, speaking of new sides to characters and whatnot, what are your thoughts on the sort of Finding Nemo aspect of this episode with the turtles? The what were they called? Chelindai, I believe.
I'm not entirely sure what they're called. It's a new alien species in Star Wars. It was unorthodox, for sure. I still don't really know what to think of it. But it was, I think, more... It wasn't necessarily like we're going to introduce a new alien species and we're going to show that. No, we're going to show some people that actually can work with Niku, because it shows more of his character, and it shows his relation with these turtle creatures, which was probably the most important thing. Like as I said, it shows more of Niku's character, and that's why it was important that they were there. Now, could they have done something different? Could that have done? Could it have done better? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm okay with what they did. So, to me, it worked,
Absolutely, and it was, it was a good heartfelt, some good heartfelt moments around there, and actually a clever thing I set up, like right away with the one turtle thing that was slowing its life signs, which of course is how they tricked the First Order. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
That's smart.
That's really good. I liked that. And speaking of, like, can we talk about the children for a minute?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're the name of the episode.
True. I'm impressed with this show because, look, sure, ooh, Kylo Ren got a name drop. Woo! But I'm surprised that this show actually has the balls to display the after effects of genocide as well as it did in this show. Because these kids are clearly traumatized. And
we
feel
know from the movies what Kylo Ren can do sometimes. So
Yeah.
knowing that and knowing what these children are saying, it's like, okay, these guys have seen some shit.
Yeah, I don't want to know what happened on Tehar. I don't want to see that. Partially just because I have some hope for Kylo Ren, but less about that the better, because hot damn, like,
Well, I think if you picture Kylo Ren doing what Darth Vader did at the end of Rogue One, but then on a planet, kind of like that,
with innocent civilians like Darth Maul did.
Innocent civilians and innocent children. That, well, it has happened in Star Wars before. Yeah, something like that. So just try and picture that, and your heart. I have it right here, and it's like,
Yes, like, and again, the scene where they're in the engineering platform, or engineering level, and again, just hearing these kids talk about it. They're talking about it like kids who have actually survived this would. Because, yeah, they have their jokey moments when they're stealing the food, but that's just them trying to escape reality. Because this is them at their most vulnerable, and you're just like, damn, I don't want the First Order to get you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, God, this episode almost got me. It did get me in the feels. Like, not harsh, but
no, it does play. It does play on the emotional aspect, and I thought that was good. So I think this was a good one to continue the story of the First Order and its impact. Actually, like, while it's still trying to kind of be hidden, it is already showing that they're a menace in the galaxy. They're dangerous, and you should look out for them. What was also nice, because we're wrapping up right now, is I don't know the name of the character at the end, but it's one of Poe's friends that unfortunately dies at the the attack of Star
Elo
Killer.
Asti. I actually looked this up before we started shooting. I'm like, okay, I have to know who this is, because this is the same guy who conks out at the end of Force Awakens at the Battle Star Killer base. So I'm like, yep. I said it was funny because his name's Hello. And the first time we saw him, we said goodbye.
That was in the Force Awakens, but it was nice to see him show up because it makes sense. He's one of Poe's friends, so when Poe's not around, he might be there, and now he's had interaction with Cass, so that was nice. Anyway, your final thoughts, Chris, on this episode?
This was a thoroughly entertaining episode. I was shocked at how much emotion it was able to bring, and I'm shocked that it was as good as it was. And the fact that this wasn't an episode that brought more to the lore, but it brought more to the characters.
Definitely.
And it did also obviously contribute to the story in terms of just further setting up where we're going to go as this season continues to move on. And I'm starting to think that we might move away from the Colossus before the end of season 1 at this rate.
Probably. Because
this show is moving fast.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced show. That's for sure. And like, I like the Colossus setting, but I'm extremely intrigued to see where the show would go if it doesn't take place on the Colossus. And I know for a fact that we'll get off there at one point. So I'm very interested to see when that happens. And when it happens, I'll of course be there to see it. I thought this was a really good episode with some feels. Good character moments for our characters, and actually, I also noticed because I played this on my TV in high definition, the animation looks so great in the show. Like, holy.
Yes, it does.
I love it.
It looks absolutely brilliant. And you know what? Hold on. Before I give my plugs, call me crazy, but this might be the best season 1 of any Star Wars animated show so far.
I mean,
because
to be fair, Clone Wars is no competition there, unfortunately.
And
Clone
for
Wars
me, neither is Rebels.
Clone Wars had a very rough going in season 1. Rebels, I think, is better in season 1 because it's a little bit more tightly written, but still, it also had issues in the first couple of episodes. And yeah, so far with this, the animation is great, the storytelling is good, the characters are good. So yeah, I think I will agree. Of course, it depends on how season 1 plays out, but so far it has a lot of potential that I think, I'm looking forward to what's next.
All right, sweet.
Anyway, Chris, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, at Skywalker Dome, and you guys can follow this very channel, dedicated to art, on Twitter, Instagram, at D2H Channel. Please like our page on Facebook, and stay tuned for all of our shows that we have, our Schmodown reactions, our regular random reactions, as well as the Who Cares Anyway podcast, Friday nights at 7:30 Central.
Indeed, guys. Please give the video a like, comment on it, tell us any and all of your thoughts about the episode that we saw in Star Wars Resistance. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel where, well, you can find all these things going on. And you can find me at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter and Kees Cornelissen on Facebook, of course, if you know how to spell that. Well, that, I think, was a show. So I will say, Viva la Resistance.
And may the Force be with you, always.
So.